Gary.
Damn it, Gary. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. It is Thursday night. You have made the absolute right choice for your viewing pleasure. This is the American Sci-Fi Classics Track Quarantine Panels. We are doing these again. We are doing them until morale improves. And tonight, we are celebrating spooky season with a discussion and a look at our favorite horror movie sequels. Now, I've discussed this at length with Gary Mitchell, whom I am about to introduce. We're not talking about sequels that are reboots or relaunches, but just
reimaginings.
Or reimaginings, just second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th movies in a series. Now, if a reboot has a sequel, then that would count. But anywho, you'll get it once we get started. So let's go around the room and introduce everybody. One internet away from me, to my left, Kevin.
Hey there, everyone. I'm Kevin. I do podcasts about skateboards and shoulder pads, and I make movies about rock and roll.
Haha, nice. One internet south of me, Beth.
Hello. My name is Beth Van Dusen. I am a co-host of Execute Chapter 66, a Star Wars podcast about Star Wars books.
And one internet diagonally from me, Michael Bailey.
Hey, everybody. I'm Michael Bailey. So that was
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, now I'm Michael Bailey. I run the Fortress of Baileytude, which is a podcasting network where I talk about comic books on various comic books, usually Superman and Batman on the internets. So it's fun.
It is fun. Two internets to the left of me making their return to the quarantine panels. Welcome back, our buddies, the Cadaver family.
Hey, what's up? It's Ryan and
I'm Nicole.
Nicole.
And where would people have seen you or heard you?
I'm in the Casket Creatures and a new band called Neon Warlords that's super badass and needs some tracks right now.
Really,
it's very badass.
80s action movie soundtracks with some exciting vocals and guitar parts, then check out Neon Warlords. But yeah, that's me. This is my beautiful wife.
I am the co-host of a podcast called Caught Dead Watching that I'm trying to get back up and running after the hell that was 2020. Also, you can hear me on the Needless Commentary and guesting on pretty much anything I can get myself on.
Yeah. And I'll actually go ahead and do a spoiler. Next year, we'll be working with the Caught Dead Watching podcast for our lock-in.
Yes, I have got something for you guys. Just wait.
Very excited.
Yes, it's gonna be life-changing. Life-changing. I will say that right now.
In a good way?
Yes. Yes. No. Yes. Yes.
You will understand truly that you had not suffered until now.
We'll get to that.
No
spoilers.
Another person's joy.
That's
right.
That's
sadomasochism, I believe.
Don't. And so 1, 2, 3 internets. Anyway, Scrabble ways. Right there. One internet south of Nicole and Ryan. My co-conspirator, my unindicted co-conspirator in the American Sci-Fi Classics Track, Mr. Gary Mitchell. How are you, sir?
I am well, now that I finally kicked I did not get con crud, but 2 weeks after convention, I actually got a cold, which knocked me out for about a week and a half. And I went and got COVID tested 3 times, and it wasn't COVID. It was just bad. So I'm better now. Also, better to be doing this and seeing my nerd fam.
Nerd fam. Hashtag nerd fam. I'm so glad to see you guys. And my I thought we were live. We weren't. My child returned from college without laundry. So it is a new world
telling you right now,
I
that is not
myself.
your child. You need to get it out of the house, whatever it is. It is there to kill you.
Hello,
this
Lola
pod-
and Angela in the chat.
There's this pod growing in our basement. I don't know. But anywho, tonight, horror sequels. Let's start with Gary Mitchell because
All right. Well, I'm going to come hard right out of the gate because I've got a few...
title of your sex tape. Hashtag Brooklyn 99.
That's right. The one that that played over my head, and hopefully it's like I've got backups, which I'm sure other people are going to grab, but I have to start with Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2, in some ways, is almost a remake of Evil Dead, because the first 20 minutes of that movie is a speed run of Evil Dead with fewer people. Oh, and there goes Joe. But it's one. I still remember I discovered it on cable at like 1:30 in the morning as a teenager and just fell in love. Bruce Campbell is the man, as we all know. It's that perfect balance of horror and comedy. It's just a gold standard of horror. And I love it. I think it's a sequel that takes the story, expands it, goes further, and then that ending, and then spinning off into Army of Darkness and this TV show and everything. But Evil Dead 2 just has to be in there.
That is a great pick, Gary. I love that movie. I feel like with a lot of horror sequels, what kind of kills them is usually what I find scary is the unknown. And with the sequels, they get like, well, let's explain it. And then it immediately becomes less scary. It's like explaining a joke is the fastest way to kill a joke. Whereas with Evil Dead 2, like the first Evil Dead is, I think, a legitimately scary movie.
Oh, yeah.
Evil Dead 2, they were kind of like, well, let's go a slightly different way and kind of, we'll up the gore quotient. We'll add all these kind of like Three Stooges style slapstick scenes. And it's just, I don't know if Evil Dead 2 is scary, but Evil Dead 2 is entertaining as heck.
Oh, some of the sequences are absolutely terrifying for me. I mean, the whole when we do the demon cam through the where Bruce Campbell, where Ash gets turned into a Deadite for a little while, the journey into the basement at the end, all the stuff with the girlfriend. But again, you're right. They do a beautiful mix of horror and comedy. My favorite gag in the whole movie is after he's cut his hand off, he puts the books down on top of the bucket to hold it in place, and the top book is A Farewell to Arms.
Yeah. And the other thing with those, especially those first two, is the thing that also comes through loud and clear to me when watching them is how much Sam Raimi loves making these movies. It's this weird combination of blood and guts everywhere, but this movie is like infused with a love letter to filmmaking. I just love it.
Well, and you really feel like when you're watching those movies, you're watching a group of friends that made movies together. They were college buddies. They had been friends for years. And that comes across when you're watching these, like you said, they are having fun. They are like best friends hanging out, getting dirty and being silly and making this amazing movie.
Yeah, you can tell that they had their own like series of inside jokes and stuff that they were like, hey, this would be really funny if we did this. And I know from like a lot of the Cast Creature stuff we do, it's like we just do stuff that we think is dumb and funny. And like we don't really care what other people think. And like that's exactly what Evil Dead 2 is. It's just like we're doing this because it's awesome and we like it. And everyone else likes it in turn because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Well, 9 times out of 10, they were right.
Yeah.
They were absolutely right. Every time they were like, this would be funny. Like, yeah, it is.
Yeah. They nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also love the fact that nobody in the movie is the hyper competent hero. I mean, the closest we get is the lady. But like Ash is, if the way they described him one time, he's the hero anybody could do better than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I fall down a lot.
I don't know. They really seal the deal with Ash versus Evil Dead of like how incapable he is.
Yes. But I just love, and I also love some of the great little moments of the, we have to go in together. Oh, hell no, you're the curious one.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's me. You go in the scary place. I'll be right here.
Who's next?
Let's see. Since Joe isn't here, I'm in charge.
Yep.
So I'll just go to my immediate left. Or
Us?
video left. Yes. Yes, the two of you.
Okay. You going first?
You go first.
I'm going to go with, because I might be stealing this from Ryan. I don't know. Dawn of the Dead.
Yes.
A lot of times, like you're saying, sequels have a tendency to dilute, to water down. Movies kind of get worse and worse, as they go. I feel like Dawn of the Dead is completely breaks that. It is as good of a movie. I'm not going to say that it's better because obviously Night of the Living Dead is, it created an entire genre, but that movie is,
I think Dawn perfected it.
It really does. It goes bigger. They go to the mall, which is the perfect setting for, a zombie post-apocalyptic type of a thing. It's a place that gave them room to move around, but they're still contained. They've got all the supplies that they need. They kept the core group small so you can really delve into these characters. The cast is amazing. I love Ken Foree so much. And, it was Galen Ross's, she did that. And then she did one other movie. She did Madman. And then kind of just I don't know. She just went back to being a normal person. But she was great. I mean, it's just, it's absolutely fantastic. The action, the social commentary. We get a great Tom Savini. I think it's more than even a cameo, but it's Tom Savini being Tom Savini. It's wonderful. I absolutely love Dawn of the Dead. So it's probably one of, I think, the best sequels ever, other than maybe Evil Dead 2.
I think the reason it works so well is that he didn't recreate the first movie. I mean, if you I love slasher films, but Friday the 13th 1 and 2 are virtually indistinguishable from each other. It's like the structure of the movie is pretty much the same. The killer is different, and the kills are different, but they just basically redid what worked on the first one. Whereas Romero, took a movie that pretty much changed America. And I'm not even really being over the top in saying that. Night of the Living Dead,
you're not.
Legitimately changed cinema. It changed how we look at these films, and it changed how these films are made. And he went, okay, I'm just going to keep in this world and just show you different people in it, and explore different areas of socioeconomic problems that the United States is having. So what's the best place to do that? We're going to do that at the mall. He kept a diverse cast at a time when diverse casts were not a thing. So it's just this movie was so far ahead of the game that it would have been hard. I know we're not talking about them, but it would have been hard to screw up a remake of this. So I absolutely love this film.
Absolutely.
Beth, Kevin?
I'm right there with you. I think what's great about Dawn of the Dead is it has something to say, and has something to say that's different from Night of the Living Dead. And it feels like a sequel that justifies its existence. So many sequels are clearly there just because they want to make another one and make more money. And I don't begrudge anyone making more money by making another sequel, but Dawn of the Dead feels like Romero had something to say, and he said it with this movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
It feels like a true piece of art.
Yes.
And one of the things he had to say was, "We got this by the ass." My favorite line from that movie. But in all seriousness, it's a great movie. it's not heavy on the gore, but it's heavy on the social commentary at a time where that wasn't a thing in a horror movie.
Well, I think it's a little heavy on the gore, especially for the time,
Well,
because I remember when I was
Beginning
like,
is rough.
yeah, I was like
still
13.
cringe and when they're storming the apartment building.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
part that bothered me.
Huh,
Yeah.
like they're still, and I've seen that movie. I don't even know how many times, but I'm still like, whoa.
Well, I
am I
still
just
remember being
completely
like
desensitized then?
maybe, because I remember being a 13-year-old little horror fan. We had this lady who lived across the street in the trailer park. She was like, "Oh, you're a horror fan? Then you need to watch this." No prep, no warning, just throws in the VHS, and it gets to the scene where the guy takes the chunk out of the woman's shoulder,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
that
I
is-
almost ran out of the
Yikes.
room, but I was riveted.
and I still love that Romero zombie makeup,
Yes, the
which
green.
you know we get some of in Night, but you know it's black and white, so the whole kind of look is different. But then we go to Dawn, and it's like that kind of gray blue,
Mhm.
you know, and they.
Although
It's-
I will say the blood I like it, but the blood does look like paint.
Well, yeah, when you watch it now, especially a lot of that bright orange blood is like
Yeah.
it's a little, but at the time, just
I still kind of
nobody
like
was doing
I
stuff
like
like
the
that.
fact
See,
that-
Day sticks out in my head as being the gory one.
Oh, Day is
Day-
definitely.
Dawn does
Cool
not.
fucking
Day
story.
takes up, and if we're gonna talk
Yeah.
like whatever sequels, I love Day. Now the story of Day, obviously not as good,
Yeah.
but the
The gore is
the
insane.
action and
Yeah.
the gore and the effects. Oh my god, choke on him!
When that
One-
one in near the beginning, when that one zombie sits up and all its guts fall on the floor.
Yes. Oh god, it's beautiful. And then was it? They call him like Dr. Tongue, the guy who's got
Yes.
no lower
Yeah,
jaw.
the-
There's just
Yeah.
this tongue hanging out. I mean, it does not to this day doesn't get much better than that.
yeah. All right. So, eeny, meeny, miny, miny, well, no, let's stick in the same box. Ryan, what's yours?
I'll keep it short and sweet, but I have to say it's one of my favorite movies for this time of year. I can't go a season without watching it. Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that movie got shit on for years. I always like had it in my stable of like Halloween movies. Had to watch this every Halloween, even more than Halloween, the first one. Like because that movie just it really, I don't know, it captures the whole spirit of like Halloween costumes and like all the like the decoration, everything I love about Halloween.
Happy,
And then
happy
some,
Halloween.
yeah, and then you got the song. Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. I think it got shit on because it didn't have Michael Myers in it. And
Mhm.
back in the day, that was the big sticking point. Everyone's like, "Oh, it sucks because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it." I will defend that movie till the day I die.
It's a good ass movie. Doesn't make any
And-
sense, but it's a
Yeah.
good ass movie.
Yeah. If it had been the second
Adam.
Halloween movie, I think people wouldn't have been so, oh my God.
But see,
Absolutely.
I am fascinated by this idea that and I think if Halloween 3 was Halloween 2,
Yeah.
it would have been different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that it was like they did 2 with Michael Myers and then they changed it up. People were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
But I get it. But at the same time, I'm fascinated by this idea that they were going to do a different movie in the season of Halloween every year. Like that
Mhm.
would have been awesome.
Yeah. An anthology series would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think time has been very kind to Halloween 3. I think in the 80s, that movie got a lot of flack, but I think
Yeah.
as the years have gone on, people are kind of revisiting and reassessing Halloween 3. You
Mhm.
don't hear as many people disparaging it.
I
Yeah,
think
and-
once people stop being pissed off about the fact that they
Mm.
didn't have Michael Myers and then actually watch the movie, they went, "Oh, this is great," you know?
And after 4 and 5 with Michael Myers, they were like, maybe we should go back and.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
a bunch of bad Michael Myers movies, people are like, you know what? Maybe this wasn't so bad.
Let's go back to the exploding masks.
Let's go back
Yeah.
to Tom Atkins and his ass.
Yeah, and I popped so hard in the trailer for Halloween Kills when we saw those 3 kids wearing those masks.
Yes.
All right, so
Like they were briefly in the last one too.
Mhm.
The masks were.
Oh
in
yeah,
that.
they were.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yes, Billy Brooks, they want to do the same. That's exactly what the trick or treat is. Our post in the comments there from Billy. They want to do the same with Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat, they did also want to make that anthologies, and
That
hopefully we'll
would've
get
been-
another Trick or Treat.
I would be fine with that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Beth.
All right. Just because I saw it the other day, I had a dream double feature thanks to Sci-Fi Channel on Sunday. I got to watch Dream Warriors and my favorite Friday the 13th movie, Jason X. Back to
Oh,
back.
Dream Warriors. I watched it recently too. It's so good.
Well, I'm going to start with Jason X. Somebody else can talk about Dream Wars if they want, but I'm going to go Jason X all the way because it's a departure and it isn't. But
Mhm.
we've seen Leprechaun go to space. We've seen other things go to space, but Jason in space is so over the top and so ridiculous. It has the highest body count of any Friday the 13th movie because he literally blows up a space station.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the person he kills by freezing them in the liquid nitrogen and smashes them.
Mhm.
And then in the holodeck that they have when he beats the girl in the sleeping bag against the other girl with the sleeping bag to kill her. And
Some
when
of
they
my
first
favorite kills
saw
in
him
the-
out, you're just like, you're screaming at the TV. Even after I've seen it 20
Mhm.
times, I'm still screaming at the TV. No, you fools. No.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why would you find a guy in a hockey mask and go, let's find out what his story is?
I love Jason X kind of gets a little self-aware. It pokes fun at itself a little bit, but in like a great way. It doesn't go too far in that. It goes too far well, not too far, but it goes
Never goes too far.
it goes plenty far in many ways. But like just kind of being a little bit more ha ha wink wink. But
Mhm.
like, in the best perfect way. I love Jason X. It's so fun.
I just love that
Yeah.
it literally is the plot of Aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Alien.
Except it's Jason.
Is the movie Alien.
It is like it's
Yeah,
like
and
the company wants Jason and they bring it on board and it gets loose. It's like literally like beat for beat.
Except for even worse, they upgrade him with those nanobots.
Yes.
Oh hell yeah!
I love
We
Uber
at one
Jason.
time and looked at each other and we were like,
Well,
"This is Alien."
We had just watched Alien and we watched Jason X. I'm like, this is the same movie,
Mhm.
but like
Except
not
one is
Alien's
scary
better.
and one isn't.
No one yell at me. Alien is obviously better, but I'm just saying they're like story wise the same.
I honestly think Jason X gets a bad rap amongst, especially like Friday fans, for the same reason that, to use a Doctor Who reference, the episode of the David Tennant in the, I think it was the first season, where they kind of have like a bunch of people looking for Doctor Who, and it really explores
Love and Monsters.
Love and Monsters, and it really explores the like fandom in general, but Doctor Who fandom in specific, and like a lot of people got really salty about that because they didn't want to see themselves be examined. I think people who love the Friday the 13th films did not want a movie where they were reminded why they love it and were told why they love it. Whereas I sat in the theater. This is one of the few. It's the only Friday movie I've actually seen in the theater. But I sat in the theater and I had the best time. Any movie that starts with David Cronenberg getting killed,
Yes.
Yeah.
like in the most random of cameos ever, I'm just like, is that David Crowe? Okay, I'm in.
What was that David Cronenberg? Because
That
he's
was-
dead now.
Yeah,
that was for Crash.
Yes. And I just love that there are so many little things that this is why I love Kane Hodder as Jason. He is the best Jason. But at the very beginning, when they have him chained up and the one guard looks at him and he just looks up at the guy and you just see the look in Jason's eye of like, I'm going to kill everybody here. Just with that one little glance. And so the guy throws the tarp over him. I was like, yeah, it's like the guy intimidates you just by looking at you.
Kane Hodder did the Michael Keaton Batman thing where he didn't just turn his head; he turned his whole body when he wanted to move. And it, like of all of the Jasons, he was the one that brought the most personality to the hockey mask, and that's really hard. But he managed to do it.
Yeah, you always knew what his Jason was feeling, whether he was confused, when he was, just like, I'm just killing people because this is what I do, to when you knew when he was pissed. And it's like, oh, crap, these people are screwed.
I know. And I'm you guys know I'm a huge Kane Hodder fan, and I've said this, probably on numerous podcasts, but like playing a nonverbal character well is a challenge, and normally they would just get like a stunt guy, which Kane Hodder is a stunt guy, but he just embodied the role, and he was actually acting, not just doing the stunts to do the kills, to,
Right.
you really, you got a sense of, what was going on with him and what he was thinking. And he just embodies that role in the way that nobody else did, which is why he played him 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and people think it's not a big deal to have nonverbal characters replaced, and anybody can play Michael Myers. Anybody can play a person in a mask. Anybody can play a guy in a suit. Literally can't.
No,
and you can tell the
That's why
quality of Michael Myers varies from movie to movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's why Kevin Peter Hall had a career. Why Doug Jones is the legend.
Yes.
But it's also the only disappointing thing to me about Freddy versus Jason is it wasn't Kane Hodder.
It
like
should.
I thought, like
crime.
nothing was more disappointing to me sitting in the theater going, no, I want to see Kane versus Robert. Why are we not seeing this?
I same, dude, same.
Well, before we devolve into a Jason podcast, which we could easily do, Michael.
It's funny you say that. Well, actually, I will move away from Jason. There are the best and there are favorites. And my favorite, I have one for each of my favorite franchises, but my favorite Friday movie, hands down, no doubt about it, Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
I knew you were
one. Okay, I love this movie for several reasons. One, every story has a theme, has like something that it's trying to say, and I think what this film is trying to say is, please don't poke Tommy because he will beat the crap out of you. Like I was not expecting when I first saw this film to see some dude do some kung fu in the kitchen and like flip a dude on a table. I mean, I was just like, okay, don't mess with Tommy. And much like the Nightmare series, where 3, 4, and 5 kind of form like an overarching, like one big story, this is the middle chapter of the Tommy story. And I think it was very brave of them to go, we're not having Jason in this film. It's someone completely different. And like it had the feeling of a Friday the 13th film, but it had a completely different, like it felt like a new chapter. And I love the cast. I love the 80s girl dancing to the Van music in her room.
Yes.
I love the fact that you get one of the kids from Different Strokes in there randomly for no reason. It has one of the most upsetting kills of any Friday film. And it wasn't even Jason. It was the fat guy getting killed at the beginning by pissing off the dude with the axe. Like that coming out of nowhere was just like, okay, so it's not just Jason we have to be scared of in this movie. And I love Tommy. I love Tommy throughout this entire film. When the guy who is obviously mentally challenged is sitting there poking at him, I'm like, please don't do this. But no, okay, do it. I want to see this.
Don't
happen.
poke the unstable guy, right?
So I just unequivocally I love this film.
Yeah, and this was another one that got unfairly crapped on by the horror community at the time because it wasn't Jason, and that I'm glad to see people coming around on this one too.
But the first movie wasn't Jason. I mean, we didn't start out that way. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I do, like Gary said, I do remember it being a thing where like people were like, it was Halloween 3 and Jason, like Friday the 13th Part 5. It was like people were like, that those movies suck because they don't have the killer in it.
Right.
That was
Do they have a killer? Shut up.
Yeah. But not, is there a guy in a hockey mask murdering teenagers? Okay, I'm in.
Did people die?
Does it take place on a Friday the 13th?
Yes.
Friday the 13th Part 5 is also critical to one of my. I have a list of terrible fan fiction ideas, and one of them is Highlander versus Friday the 13th.
Oh God, that would be great.
Because it turns out the guy that's in this one that gets killed is actually immortal. So he comes back and he starts killing again. and it's first season Highlander. So Richie, of course, has some female friend from his past that he has to go help at this camp. I'm telling you, this thing writes itself.
Yes, it does.
Now, I'm with you. I absolutely love Friday Part 5. And you guys know, like, I'm like huge Friday fan. I love them all. Some more than others, but you know, it's creative, it's fun. We get the enchilada scene in the outhouse. Ooh, baby, baby,
Ooh, baby, ooh,
yeah,
baby.
it is the scene that made me terrified of outhouses. To this day, I'm nervous anytime I have to use a porta-john because of that scene. You've got Ethel, who is absolutely insanely hysterically funny. She calls her son a big dumb dildo. It reminds me of the son reminds me of Randy Quaid, like now Randy Quaid.
Yeah,
It's a perfect movie. I love it, you know. And they did something different. They took a risk, and everybody got pissed off about it, but it was worth it. It paid off. It was great.
Yeah. And how many times do we hear people complaining that, oh, they didn't do anything new, they didn't do anything different? And then when they do something new and different,
Everybody gets pissed off.
right?
Yep. Horror fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
All right, Kevin, you're up.
I'm going to kick it a little old school and go with Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
One of the things I love about Bride of Frankenstein is the original Frankenstein from 31 is a fantastic movie, but it's very clearly figuring out how to make talkies. It's such an early talkie movie that some of it feels a little stagey, but I love the atmospherics. I love Karloff playing the creature. I think it's scarier than Bride because the creature like kills a child, for instance. But with Bride, they kind of double down on really interesting shots. They up the camp sensibility by like 1,000. The design of Elsa Lanchester as the bride is amazing, and the way she moves around like a praying mantis.
Yeah, she's iconic.
Yeah, like everyone knows what that looks like, and so I like how even though Frankenstein and the creature die at the end of the original Frankenstein, they just started off by having Mary Shelley, going, the air is thick with monsters tonight, and just telling a story like presupposing what if they hadn't died. So I love everything about that movie. I think it is so great.
Yeah, I a couple of years ago, my wife and I sat down. We actually started watching like the original Universal monster films because I had never really seen them because I'm a Philistine, and we watched the first one and we're like, yeah, it was all right. We felt the same way kind of about Dracula. Like, maybe the hype was too much. Popped in Bride of Frankenstein, had a ball from beginning to end. I think it was the switch in tempo and kind of the fact that they had figured everything out by that point. I think you're absolutely right about that, Kevin. But I don't know. How do you improve a film like this? Add a woman with really large hair and with white streaks in it that's not supposed to be attractive and yet is amazingly attractive.
Significantly, yeah.
Yeah, and if you see color pictures of her, she's got red hair. Everybody, does the black and white, but it's red hair, which is like, as we all know, is infinitely hotter.
I had read she based her movements on like a goose attacking someone.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, that makes it scarier. Geese are terrifying.
Yes,
I know.
geese are
All birds
terrifying.
are frightening. Yeah.
Yeah, the cobra
Birds
chickens are
real.
terrifying.
I
That's
think
true.
also
Those are
it was a
drones.
lot of the addition of the dynamic between the monster and the bride as well, because you can't just keep remaking Frankenstein movies and expect them to have the same impact. Giving him someone to relate to or someone to desire who is like him, and her being new to it, not knowing like, oh no, I can do better than that. Oh wait, no, she can't.
Yeah, and Dr. Pretorius.
Dr. Pretorius is amazing. Like the scene where he is like, I've designed miniature people that I keep in jars.
Oh, that part is so weird but cool.
Yes.
It's awesome, but it's strange. It always stood out to me as being very strange.
All right, so that I think, unless anybody else, Ryan Schweck in the comments asks if it would count as necrophilia with Bride of Frankenstein. That
willing to
question makes
listen.
me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but she's.
I don't think it, between the two of them. No.
No, if two two corpses do it, it's totally fine.
Totally cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's above board.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a strange comparison, but like an adult having relations with a teenager is wrong, but two teenagers, it's like okay because they're along the same age. I think it's a similar concept with the dead.
Oh, and your lovely dog is getting love in the comments.
Yeah, she wanted in my lap. So.
All right. And I'm sure somewhere out there on the internet is that hot corpse on corpse action if you really want to find it. So I'm going to bring us back around to my second choice, which I am pleased no one grabbed. And it is a Clive Barker classic, Hellraiser 2.
Yes.
I love Hellraiser 2 more than Hellraiser 1. I love that Julia was supposed to be the main villain of the franchise. I love her performance. I love that we get to go into hell and see what it's like. Again, like Kevin said, sometimes you over-explain too much, but I think actually getting that little bit of the history on where the Cenobites come from actually does help in this one.
Yeah.
If you didn't have it, it would make it more confusing.
Well, I feel like a lot of times I'm on board with like showing the monster less. It frequently makes it more scary, with the exception of Hellraiser 2, because the Cenobites were so intriguing and like what made the first one so magical. All you want to do is know more. And frequently that in the sequel, when they kind of go, oh, well, we had this popular gimmick, so we're going to expand it. A lot of times that goes wrong, but man, in Hellraiser 2, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I'm with you. I love Hellraiser 2, and I almost like to think of 1 and 2 as like one long movie.
Yeah.
Because they just complement each other so well, and like 2 makes 1 better to me.
I agree, and it has some of the best lines, like it's not hands that call us. And you got to give it up to Doug Bradley. His performance, he is just so good. And one of my prized possessions is they were at a local horror convention, and I got my copy of Hellraiser 2 signed by Clive, Doug, Chatterer. I was just like, this will never leave my possession.
That's something for the hope chest, Gary.
Are you sure that I'm surprised that didn't open up the Hellraiser realm?
Well, I haven't
getting all of that like together.
I haven't opened the case since they've all signed it, so it's every now and then there's a chain rattling noise, and I just leave it alone.
Yeah, maybe just leave it be.
Yeah. Anyone else have Hellraiser 2 thoughts?
I mean,
I'm terrified of the doctor. That's like hanging out.
The doctor and the scene with the guy who has the hallucinations of the bugs under his skin. That is such a hard scene to watch.
And again, talking about like I am a a pretty like jaded, desensitized person. But that is one of like few scenes in a movie that I turn away from. I'll pretend I'm watching, but I'm really like going. Like it makes my skin crawl, I guess. But no, it's terrifying when he takes the straight razor to himself.
Yeah.
The characters you always want to see more Cenobites and more Cenobites and more Cenobites, and like Hellraiser until
you get to the one with the CDs on his head. Yeah. You're like, what's slowed down?
Hellraiser 3. So like I love it because it's fun, but it's a totally different world from 1 and 2. Yeah. But in this one, when Dr. Channard, the reveal when he comes up, it's like you never think that there could be a Cenobite that's more striking than Pinhead. But I mean, he's just like got that thing on his head, and
Oh, and when he comes out and does the line of, and to think I hesitated.
Yes.
is just like, yeah.
Oh, good. I mean, like, even in the beginning when Kirsty like hallucinates or doesn't hallucinate, her dad like, help me, I'm in hell, and he's skinless. Oh, yeah, doesn't get much better. And yeah, I love it.
Right. And I want to give before we move on, I want to give a shout out to Craig Isley's comment from Facebook. I just want to complain that there's no Bride of Young Frankenstein.
We could keep going with that forever.
Yeah.
Someone get Mel Brooks on that. All right. So Nicole, you're up.
Let's see. I was going to do Friday 5, but since Beth brought up Dream Warriors, but we didn't really talk about it, I got to talk about Dream Warriors.
Thank you.
So we get Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, and it's a big step down from Nightmare on Elm Street 1, right? It's
it's good, but it's not great.
It's not good. All right. It's cheesy. It's not my favorite, right? It's the one I watch the least. And then we get Dream Warriors, and it just corrected. It course corrected, right? We get all these new teens, and they're still connected to Elm Street. They're all like having this like shared hallucination dream, right? So they're in a mental hospital. This one is where we get some of the absolute best Freddy moments, Freddy kills. The puppet, when
that's
pulls
so
the
creepy.
kid's veins out and walks him up, and like they keep cutting back and forth between what he's seeing in his dream and then what everyone else is seeing him do, and it's amazing. It's one of the best moments of the movie. And then you get Welcome to Primetime, Bitch, where Freddy turns himself into a TV and grabs her and just shoves her in there. And then like Lawrence Fishburne comes in and sees her hanging from the TV, and he's like, oh, I guess she killed herself. I'm like,
because that's logical.
What? She launched herself headfirst into a television. I'm like,
a television that's 6 feet in the air.
Yeah, and it's just hanging there. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And then, I love the part where they like go in there and they're gonna control like lucid dream.
Yeah.
You get that girl and she's like, and especially me as like a young, wannabe badass, teen
Oh yeah.
girl, and she's like, in my dreams, I'm beautiful and bad, and I love her so much. I don't know why I've never cosplayed her. It's
Mohawk's a lot of work.
So much fun. I know my hair's darker now, so I could do the dark mohawk.
There's a TikTok challenge going on right now where there's like a Taylor Swift song playing, and it's showing people showing a scene from a movie that kind of informed themselves sexually. And I really want to do that one where like little 12-year-old Mike is sitting there at home watching, sees her, and suddenly that's like that becomes like the formation of everything about what you're attracted to.
I need a goth girl with a switchblade.
Yeah.
Honestly, her, and then you were talking about the girl, I think her character name is Violet from Friday 5 doing the dance. The two of them together those are my girl crushes. Like completely.
Yeah.
I was
also
think.
I was gonna say this is also, I think, the last time that Freddy is still funny, but he's also still legitimately scary.
Yes.
Because from here down, they lean much more on him being sarcastic and funny, and not as intimidating.
Yeah, Dream Warriors is scary.
When he gets that girl, when he gets your girl crush with the needles.
Yeah,
that's terrifying, and I don't even have a
little
thing
mouths
with needles
on her arms.
Yes, on her track mark.
That's legitimately unsettling.
Yes, and it's such a he hones in on these kids' vulnerabilities like so well. It makes it really, really unsettling.
Yeah, and as a little nerd, I felt so bad for the D&D kid.
Oh God,
because that was me.
Rolled a 1, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. As a little kid, I didn't realize that the thing that would bring the Nightmare franchise to the next level was to cross it with the New Mutants. And when they did, I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, this is the moment in the franchise where Freddy went MTV.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, they put out a really great box set. This is like the early 2000s that had a Nightmare Encyclopedia disc. That's really weird because you can like watch the features, or you can play this game where you're going through a mental institution and you click on different things, and depending on what you click on, it's either like a little interview with somebody, or it's like a behind the scenes thing of Robert Englund filming something for MTV. And with the inclusion of Dokken with the theme song, this is like where Nightmare achieved its greatest pinnacle, and unfortunately they kept trying to do that with the next two to diminishing returns, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
But no, this was my first Nightmare film. This my sister Jane, who's 2 years older than me, she's the one that brought all the horror into the house. So I was just kind of at her mercy, and it's why I can't watch like Hellraiser in high definition, because it's got to look like a crappy VHS tape that we rented from the mom and pop video store. Maybe I'm
Modern
wrong
DVDs need a filter for that. It's like, yeah, I love my 4K, but I would love a VHS filter.
You can really see the stunt doubles on the 4K.
Yeah.
But this was the one that both scared the hell out of me as a 12-year-old, but also like I wanted more.
Yeah, this is like the one where I was like, oh man, like Freddy's really scary, but he's kind of cool. Like he's kind of rad. And going back to talking Dokken. I think
Ryan Cadaver's new podcast, Talking Dokken.
Yeah, I by far think that is the greatest movie soundtrack song. Dream Warriors is such an incredible song. That hook is so amazing, and the music video is
perfect
ass. So just saying, I did a whole podcast at Days of the Dead, or a whole panel at Days of the Dead just about Dokken and this movie. So I mean, it wasn't actually about that, but that's all I talked about.
And it's got a really interesting formation behind it, because originally it was Wes Craven working with, I forget the guy's name. He was the creepy uncle in One Crazy Summer that was trying to win the contest.
Yeah.
He actually wrote with Wes Craven a draft of the third movie. So seeing him in the behind the scenes stuff randomly, I was like, no, you're the creepy guy from the Savage Steve Holland films. But it then gets turned over to a more commercial crew. And this is one of those moments where I think this is the best thing for the franchise. It's nothing against Wes Craven, because he crafted two of what can legitimately called the best movies of the series, both the original and New Nightmare. Which is a staggeringly beautiful film.
So perfect.
But they commercialized Freddy, and suddenly Freddy becomes, at a time when like a lot of the slashers were becoming like the new Universal monsters of the 80s, it turned Freddy into like, there was a 900 number. And there was ads in my Superman comics for Freddy merchandise that I wanted to order, and I was told hell no by my parents. and it was just, it's like one of those like lightning rods of a genre where nothing was the same afterwards, but nothing was quite as good afterwards either.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad, I want this child murderer toy.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're going to go with Ryan Schweck's comment there. Nothing screams comedy like burned child killer.
Yeah, but it's funny. He says bitch all the time. It's funny.
Yeah. All right, so Ryan, you're up.
I'm going to go with arguably one of the worst sequels, but one that I think is hilarious, and that is Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
Or any of the Silent Night, Deadly Night sequels. Yeah,
but I'm going to go particularly with 2, because it's just a bunch of like them recapping the first movie for like an hour, and then the most hilarious scene of like weird Grand Theft Auto level, like murdering a street of people, walking down and just shooting people and laughing very awkwardly. Ha ha ha! Murder. Garbage day. The guy with the trash can.
Yes, if Grand Theft Auto happened on a suburban cul-de-sac, it would be that movie.
Yeah. So I just want to say I think that movie is insane, and just watch the Garbage Day clip, and that's all you need, because that's pretty much all the footage of the movie. So
we actually sat here one night and timed how much of that movie was
new footage.
Yeah, new footage versus flashbacks, and he's flashing back to stuff
he wasn't even there.
He wasn't there for. How do you flash back to things that you weren't there for, or he was a baby in?
Yeah,
like he's an infant.
Don't criticize movie magic,
Ryan.
He was a very observant baby.
Apparently.
Yeah.
No, he flashed back to things that he definitely was not anywhere in the same building when it was happening. It's something. It's fun to watch.
He's like, I remember when my brother did this thing in secret that I wasn't there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch it with drinks and friends.
Yes. It's a laugh out loud
Yeah.
comedy. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Also, quick shout out to Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, the toy maker, because that's fucking insane.
The one with Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney,
Yes. And a giant life-size Ken doll that tries to sexually assault a woman, although he doesn't
can't.
have any genitals.
Yeah.
And
Smooth.
you can even talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, where Bill Moseley has a brain, like an exposed brain in a fishbowl on the top of his head. I'm not really sure why. What it has to do with Santa Claus in
I think that was just Bill Moseley. He showed up like that.
Yeah, it was like, no, I got my brain out. It's in a fishbowl.
Yeah, they're insane, and they have after the first one, they really have nothing to do with Christmas.
I think in 4
they battle witches.
There's a Christmas tree in the background of one scene. And
That's it.
about it. It's amazing.
Oh. All right, so we're gonna have to move a little faster now because we're coming out. Beth, I believe you were next.
I will make it as quick as possible, and I couldn't choose, nor could I keep them straight. So we're just going to have to talk about all of the Lucio Fulci zombie movies.
Yes.
2 through 5 at least, because a zombie fights a shark. There's zombie birds. Are they in Italy? Are they in Malta? Are they in the Philippines? Nobody knows. There's ninjas of some sort. I have no idea what's happening in these movies, but they're beautiful and they're insane and they're not scary.
Great
soundtrack. And they're not intentionally silly all the time.
Zombie 5 Killing Birds is one of the most ridiculous, insane, nonsensical, wonderful movies I've ever seen. It's one of my favorites. It's got ghosts, murderous birds, blind. What's that guy's name? Robert
Vaughn.
Robert Vaughn. It's a trip. You've just gotta just buckle in.
Just watch all of them. There's
the lady getting pulled onto the wood splinter into her eye is still one of the hardest things to watch for me.
Yes, that's another one of my moments in movies. But yeah, like Zombie. The first Zombie is actually Zombie 2, so I don't know if that counts as a sequel.
Yeah, because it was technically a sequel to Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, and that's one of those like, okay, sure.
Yeah, because Fulci helped Romero with the financing on Dawn of the Dead, so he got sequel rights and distribution rights, and it's a whole thing.
But it just became Zombie with an I, Zombie 2 with an I, no E.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they get progressively
weirder and better in a way.
Yeah, they're fun. Really, really
they're just fun.
And 5 is my favorite for insanity.
3's are really good, but 5 is just nuts.
I have the box set of all of them, and sometimes I'll just roll them all out because they're great.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Bailey.
This is going to be weird given some of the commentary from earlier. I actually brought Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 to the party. And the reason is this is a movie that I never hated, but I appreciate more now. Mainly because like Halloween 3 and Friday 5, it goes in a different direction. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, no one wanted that direction. and then the next one was so good that retroactively the third one was so good that retroactively the second one has to be terrible. But when I reappraised it a couple years ago, I was watching it. I'm like, this is a perfectly serviceable horror film.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they switch the gender of the protagonist, but not really.
Yeah, well,
in a way.
if you get a chance, watch. There's a documentary called Scream Queen.
I haven't seen it yet. I really want to.
Which is about how the movie is a huge gay panic subtext.
And it is, and the director says he didn't see that, and I'm wondering if that director is either blind or lying.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. It's got to be, because you cannot watch that film and go, this man is gay. That's okay. He's just not ready to deal with it.
But he's also screaming that there's a man inside of him.
Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah, and we could make a like an entire hour discussing the fact that the film that he's only saved when a beautiful woman makes out with him. Like, what does that say? What does that say? Well, it says everything about how the 80s felt about gay people.
Yeah.
Oh, Beth, you seem to be muted.
There were cats attacking the door a minute ago, so I muted myself and forgot about it. Yeah, I'm going to have to revisit that movie. I haven't seen it since I was a little kid and wouldn't have picked up on gay subtext when I was 10.
You will this time.
You will.
I'm sure I will.
I was amazed the number of slasher movies I would just go to the video store, rent, and bring home and watch when I was in 4th grade.
Yeah. Yeah, video stores were great for that. It's like, hey, kid, you got the money? All right, you can take the tape.
This is
Yeah,
the
as
days
long as it
before
wasn't in the
Blockbuster.
adult room, they'd let you have anything.
The great thing about video stores too, or not the great thing, but the weird thing is a lot of times you would just get a sequel to a movie because you couldn't find the first one.
Oh yeah.
You would just have to watch the second one. So all the time I remember renting Puppet Master 4 and I haven't seen the others. I don't know what these puppets are all about, but I like it. I'm into it.
The cover looks good. Video stores were great for this'll do.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's why I watched Frankenhooker.
You want a date? A
The
friend of mine
box?
had the box that talked.
Yes, I was like, yeah, I sure do.
There's so many movies that are special to me because I remember how the box art made me feel when I was a kid wandering around the video store. I'm still afraid of The Hills Have Eyes because of Michael Berryman on the box. Terrified me.
Yeah, it's I'm still angry at Screamers, which the cover was a guy who'd been skinned wearing a pair of blue jeans, screaming, and you rent the movie, nothing to do with the cover. It's a bunch of people on an island running around and being dumb. I rented that movie 3 times just to make sure I didn't get the wrong tape.
That would happen sometimes. I rented Return of the Living Dead and I got the Funhouse.
Oh, like me when I rented the wrong Jack Frost.
Oh,
Michael Keaton.
Very different.
He hasn't killed anybody yet.
Great.
There was that special time before Blockbuster homogenized everything where you didn't know what they were going to have, but it was always, and especially the more mom and pop, the better the selection of horror films were.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why that correlation was in effect, but it always seemed like if you went to the nicer one that was more family friendly, there wasn't much of a selection. But man, when you went to the one that just opened up and apparently these were the cheapest movies they could buy, it was just the best selection ever. My sister and I argued like cats and dogs when we were younger. But I will always love the fact that she brought with her friends all of these weird ass waxworks and movies like that.
Waxwork.
Where I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm really enjoying myself while it's happening.
All right, Kevin, bring us home.
Okay, this is a weird one. I'm going to go with 1944's Curse of the Cat People, a film that contains neither curses nor cat people. It's a sequel to 1942's Cat People, which is legitimately an amazing movie and one of my favorite films. And the sequel, I'm going to do this quick, is instead of being about a woman of Eastern European descent who may or may not turn into a panther and kill people every time she has sex, is about a little girl who makes friends with the ghost of that character. Although it's never mentioned by anyone that the character used to turn into a panther whenever she had sex with someone and kill them. So it's a really good kind of creepy story, like told through the eyes of a child. It's weird to me that they decided to market it as a sequel to Cat People when it doesn't have much to do with it at all, aside from like using that same character's name. And I like it as an interesting movie, but I wanted to give it a shout out because it's kind of weird. I think people should check it out, and I think people should definitely check out the original. And happy spooky season.
Yeah, at the Classics Track, we are quite fond of encouraging people to go back to the classics, the stuff from the 30s and the 40s, because there is some good stuff there. There's some bad stuff there, but there's a lot of really good stuff there.
Did I hear somebody say something about somebody turning into a panther?
Yes, you did.
It wasn't Manimal.
It
Joe,
was.
I'm sorry.
It was Joe. It was Manther.
Manther.
Yes.
Is that a He-Man character? That sounds like it should have
probably.
been a He-Man character.
Should be, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys did at least spend 15 to 20 minutes on Weekend at Bernie's 2.
Oh, yeah. The best of the series.
All right, good.
Joe, one of these years we need to do a Weekend at Bernie's cosplay.
Yeah.
Okay.
World's easiest
Easy.
cosplay.
I'll send you guys a picture of my husband doing it for Halloween one year. He just sat on the couch like this.
That's amazing.
And the second one is technically a zombie movie. He
Thank
gets up
you.
and walks around.
Yes.
It's a voodoo
Thank
curse
you.
that makes him dance.
One year when Gary did a zombie night at the movies panel, where he brought a stack of zombie movies and let the audience decide what to watch. I stuck Weekend at Bernie's 2 in the stack. They were not amused.
I would have been.
I would have been on
Heathens.
board.
I want to give a shout out to everybody who is watching on the Facebook and the YouTube. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And now I guess everybody, cadavers, where can people find you online and buy your cool ass candles?
You can buy our cool ass candles. It's Cadaver Candle Company. Sorry. So go to cadavercandleco.bigcartel.com. Why can't I talk all of a sudden? You can find me on Instagram at Battle Cougar, and you can follow our candles on Instagram at Cadaver Candle Co.
So follow my band, the Casket Creatures. We're getting back into a somewhat normal October where we're going to be playing some shows, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So just keep up with us for that. And Neon Warlords is my new project. That's the soundtrack to every badass 80s movie you've ever seen, all wrapped up into one project. So it's amazing. I'm super proud of it. And then, yeah, other than that, just Brian Cadaver, Instagram. I don't really post on it that much, but you can follow me if you want.
And I will vouch, if you're anywhere in the Georgia area, make the road trip, see the Casket Creatures in person. You'll have a grand time.
Thanks, Gary.
Kevin.
My podcast about movies that feature skateboard in some capacity. Gleaming the Tube is at gleamingthetube.net. The next episode that I think comes out next week is about the Skateboard Whiz episode of the Linda Carter Wonder Woman television show. And before Halloween, we're going to try and do one about Chopping Mall as well.
Oh,
And
I love Chopping Mall. That movie rules.
I love that film.
that's a great movie. I wish it was a sequel. I would have brought it up. And I have another new podcast that I'm doing about the 80s detective series Moonlighting called Let's Get Chatty About David and Maddie. And you can find that at moonlightingpodcast.com.
So don't anybody else try to get that URL. Kevin nailed it.
Yes. Mr. Bailey.
Like I said earlier, it's okay. It'll be fine. In addition to having dogs, I run the Fortress of Baileytude podcasting network, which is what I laughingly call a network. It's just an easy way to do all the shows that I do, from Crisis to Crisis, a Superman podcast, The Overlooked Dark Knight, with several of my American Sci-Fi Classics. Are you okay? You're going to be fine. Brethren, we do the Superman and Lois tapes. which shockingly is about the show Superman and Lois. And there's like 700 some odd episodes of various shows on the site that you can listen to. So, and I am on Twitter at Bailey's Podcasts, and the Fortress of Baileytude Network is on TikTok. I mainly talk about going to the gym.
And Beth.
Well, you can find Execute Chapter 66 wherever you get your podcasts. And I'm also occasionally on needlessthingspodcast.com. So check us out. Spooky season's coming. Spooky Star Wars.
Spooky.
We are looking forward to Mr. Gary Mitchell joining us again soon.
Oh, yay.
Yes.
And all of the links that all these guys have talked about, we'll put them in the show notes on the YouTubes. So you can all follow all these cool people and watch the Dokken music videos. So
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what you should take out of this.
Yep.
Again, talking about Dokken coming from Ryan Cadaver. So
Yep.
Dokken.
Talking.
talking Dokken.
Wasn't their catchphrase rockin' with Dokken?
Rockin' like
It
that,
should've
man.
Oh, rockin' like Dokken. Sorry.
There we go.
Pardon me, Dokken.
Don't wanna dream no more. Yeah.
And Gary, where can people find you?
Here every other Thursday with you doing this.
That's
and
right.
at DragonCon and on our Facebook page, which I'll let you talk about the Facebook page.
Facebook.com/groups/American Sci-Fi Classics.
Yeah.
And
And where can they find you?
look at that. There's where you can see our videos, like the one you're watching right now. And right there, join us on the Facebooks. And
We have a year and a half of backlog of these that you can go back and
year
enjoy.
and a half, guys. We are insane. Our prices are insane. But we got so many people coming up to us when we were at Live Action Dragon Con telling us how much they enjoyed watching these and being on these, because all of you guys were either on these or or in live action with us, and it's just the coolest thing that we have gotten to do. And we will see you guys in live action soon, and we will see you guys on here in 2 weeks.
Yes,
when our
come to the
topic
YouTube.
will
And
be-
Ryan, what do they do if they go to the YouTube?
Smash that like button.
Yes, Joe, in 2 weeks we will be back, and our topic is horror movie novelizations, where we'll hear Joe Crowe say,
I cannot wait to read Fangface in The Curse of the Missing Pirate Ship. It is a real novelization that I have. Where is it? Nope, there it is. Is that it? No, that's Hong Kong Phooey. That's not Fangface. Anyway, I totally have a Fangface novelization, I promise. In 2 weeks, reading sci-fi movie novelizations is one of our favorite fun things that we've started doing. In 2 weeks, because it's spooky season, we'll do it for horror things.
indeed.
You guys, thank you. Gary, thank you. Michael, Beth, we will see you guys all, and also Ryan and Nicole and Kevin. We will see you all very, very soon. And
And
everybody
we'll see
watching,
Jason very soon.
Yeah. I got to tell you guys, you know what? I need to show you guys. I'll put it also in the show notes. A high school band in our local area did this season they're doing a Nightmare on Elm Street production.
Oh,
wow.
And it starts with kids dressed up as Metallica doing Inner Sandman, and then Freddy Krueger pops out and chases the band around the field. It's amazing. I'll post a link. But guys, thank you very, very much. We will see you in 2 weeks, and keep watching us on the Facebook. We'll post things. Have a good spooky season. Gary, everybody, thank you very much. We will see you all very soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for
Bye.
coming.
Happy
Talking with
Halloween.
Dokken.
Unpleasant dreams.
Ah!